Hello, everyone. We are talking today about the journey of mentoring, and I'm very pleased to have in this room, in this studio, Lynette, who is one of the mentors in Bevel ON capacity building program. Lynette, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Ina, and also thank you to Bevel ON for the invitation. I'm happy to share a bit about this mentorship journey and how it has been for me.
We will talk a lot about that because you just started a few months back, started mentoring journey with us, and I would like to shape this discussion towards the mutual benefit and the journey of mentoring as the journey of growth, but also as mentee and mentor together growing with purpose in mentoring process, right? So starting from the very beginning, let's go back when you joined Bevel On. Do you remember that moment when you first heard about Bevel On and what made you pause and say, yeah, probably this is something I want to explore for myself as the role of mentor?
Yes, I actually do, Ina, because I heard of Bevel World first when you were looking for a leadership and business consultant. And at that time, my profile wasn't the fit or wasn't what you were looking for. But that's how I found out about your two branches, Bevel World and Bevel On. And so I just felt that professionally it resonated, the work you were doing with displaced people. And my job is a lot about, guiding, partnering, and helping people through transitions. So I think from a professional perspective, there was a great pull factor, to do something pro bono. And also from a personal perspective, because very dear friends of ours had to flee in February 2022. And so it's been a journey I have been part of as a friend in safe Switzerland. But yeah, there's a personal resonance also for the work you do.
Fantastic. Yeah, and you just mentioned exactly one of my organizations is doing the team and leadership development, and this is how we connected first. And social impact arm of it, Bevel On Association, that is the Swiss-based association, provides capacity building, upskilling, and community support program for displaced professionals. We started with Ukrainian refugees who fled the war more than 3 years ago, and then we expanded, working now with expatriated migrants as well. It's a very rich and diverse experience from the perspective of cultural backgrounds, but also the professional journey that people who come to us, they used to have before and how they rebuild themselves. And again, Lynette, you've been in this area of supporting people who are doing the big life transitions since a while. And I wonder with that, because we work with people who are looking for the job, who are trying to integrate socially in the new operating environment, but also those who are doing the shifts towards probably the classical career in corporate towards entrepreneurs, and you are doing your consulting business. How this mentoring experience also influenced the way you think about your own role as solo entrepreneur, the way what you do? Do you see the match of capabilities and the experience here?
Absolutely. I see a great, match and how it has also resonated with myself, having had a corporate career and then for different reasons venturing out. And I wouldn't say necessarily reinventing myself, but I think that, with life, we go through iterations of our own personal self, but also as professionals. And so I've had a big, what's it called? I've had a big and great experience having mentors whilst being in a corporate life. And then I realized that there's also a change of mentors required as you transition. And I found new mentors, different mentors. Of course, I have a supervisor for my professional work. But I think that we're all somehow on a journey, and of course, if you have been impacted by an involuntary, push to rethink where you're going to set up camp and how you're going to do it, I think that there's how should I say? I felt a great resonance in that regard as well.
I hear you absolutely and copy what you are saying, because when I started my first company, I also had the mentor, I had coaches, and those people who were supporting me in establishing myself as the entrepreneur after the very long corporate career. But going back to the mentoring process where you are in with Bevel On, you completed your first mentoring. And if we can reflect on that a little bit, what did that experience give you personally or professionally? Was there a moment or a story that really stayed with you that you would like to speak about?
Yes, I think that for me, it's always, encountering and being with people. I mean, that's always enriching. But I was also very mindful of the relationship we had in the context of the Bevel Mentorship, program, and being there with a person as they are reflecting and working through the changes they're facing and the goals they want to reach. I think that's always very humbling. I mean, somebody's trusting you with their life. I mean, not their, hanging on to life, but still. And there is a trust aspect. So I'm always humbled by it that, you enter into this relationship. It's time bounded, it's purpose bounded. And so I find it personally always very humbling because I have this stance of respect, and care if somebody opens up. And I have always had good mentors, where you have this benevolent stance towards another person and you want them to grow, you want them to work through things. So I think that has been a great, like background for me while being a person in this relationship, but also as a professional, that just realizing the reality, somebody sees their reality, and it's not for me to say that that's not the reality because it's what they perceive. But yet, how can you gentle another perspective? How can you also challenge or coach or like cheer somebody on to push through? So that's I find it very rewarding. And I think there was like one moment which really stayed with me, and that was like when my mentee just realized the value of rest, and that with all this goal focused and being on the program and wanting to be on that program as the mentee, the importance of rest, and that rest and productivity, they don't contradict each other, they belong together, they're one. And then I had to smile because that's a journey I myself had to take, which I didn't share with her or with him. And so that I think is really important. Yeah, so that's one. And one could see this visceral experience of the person where a body goes into a stance of rest.
I find very interesting your insight from the mentoring journey, because you mentioned that people, when they are placed in certain circumstances, they perceive it as the reality. And I think the role of mentor is also to show the broader picture that this is not the reality, these are the circumstances, right? And help getting out of that ambience or the narrow situation that we create for ourselves in our own heads. And taking the rest is getting out of the hamster wheel where we are running all the time, right? And we start automating the actions where actually we should stop, reset, think broader about the opportunities that could be in front of us. And the role of mentor obviously is to show that as a lighthouse, to show the path towards the new opportunity. And I have another question that made me think also about the whole mentoring process and your journey, Lynette, with us. We are supporting displaced professionals, right? In Bevel ON mission, we provide, again, capacity building, upskilling, community support programs for those people who were affected by the migration due to the climate change, political instability, and also for those people who are displaced in their careers because of same reasons, or even the digitalizations, the economical developments and shifts, right? They have to change. And you support people in transitions. How do you think in these big life transitions, especially for the displaced professionals nowadays, considering all the factors that are influencing our jobs today, is it the right time to enhance the action towards supporting displaced professionals? How do you feel about the situation with the forced or voluntary displacement for the professional people, for talents nowadays?
I think it's very timely, and it's timely for geopolitical reasons, I mean, with your personal background and the country which was aggressed in 2014, and the attack came again in 2022. And I think the geopolitical situation really is a big shakeup, I mean, it could happen, that aspect can happen any place. And you can call it an earthquake. You can have a career quake as well. That's a term a friend of mine in Asia kind of used and coined. I like it. You can have life quakes, career quakes. I mean, we live in unprecedented times. And you mentioned AI coming up as well. And I think having ground, and then if sometimes at least in German, there's expression where you feel like, the ground has been pulled away from below your feet. The chance and the opportunity that people offer themselves as mentors, they don't necessarily have all the answers, but it's that relationship, it's with that connection, I think, where people can be held and where space can be created that they can know, yes, we can march through. And luckily, us human beings, we are resilient. Yes, we have survived. The race still exists. And I think it's with this connection and this community aspect, which you also mentioned, where people can feel held. So it's very, very important to have that work going. And I feel it's very timely. I mean, there is people might think they're in safety and security. And even in this beautiful and stable country of Switzerland, I think people have realized, it's not like it was before, and changes can happen overnight. So to have this kind of an inner stance and being strengthened by a supportive environment, this interplay between inner world and outer world is of course something I love and I'm passionate about. But I'm so grateful that associations like your own, Bevel On, or also your corporate arm support that.
Thank you so much for very warm words in these regards. I do agree with you. I do believe that the turbulence that we are facing today, and as you rightly said, that can happen overnight, is exactly the ground now for impactful people, kind individuals who are willing to share the experience, to share the emotions, to share the support with those people who've been left in the frustration of the circumstances where they were placed, not willing to do so, but unfortunately, the geopolitical or economical circumstances, they influence that not necessarily tomorrow we know what's going to happen in our professional or personal field, right? So I thank you so much, Lynette, for first of all, for being the mentor in Bevel ON program and with your kind heart creating the impact together with us and helping those individuals who don't see the opportunity in front of them yet until they start working with you or with other mentors. And for those of you who are watching us now, look, this is the beautiful opportunity to give back to the society. This is beautiful opportunity to learn for your own self, either in professional or personal side, on how helping people going through the transitions one day will help you to grow out of the turbulence that you might face over the night. Thank you so much for having us as your impactful movement, and thank you for being with us and joining us as that impactful individual who is creating change.
You're very welcome, and thank you. I love supporting your work, and I'm also a promoter of your work, and I hope that I can bring other professionals in my environment into the Bevel ON Association and your program. Thank you, Ina.
Thank you, Lynette.